Hello, it's Tim from Somerville Shutters, and today we're going to discuss the two most common fixes that you can do at home for your shutters. The second thing we're going to look at today is replacing staples in the shutters. The staple can either come out of the louver itself or the tilt rod. We're going to look at replacing both of those. These staples tend to come out because of one of two things. People either grab the tilt rod and use it to pull open the shutter, causing excessive tension on the staples, or people misalign the tilt rod when they open and close the staples. As you can see here, we have a staple out of the louver, and we're going to start by showing you how to replace the staple that has come out of the louver. So we're going to replace the staple in the louver. I also like to use just a little bit of glue on either a note card or something, just so when we put the staple back in, it is secure. Doesn't matter what kind of glue you use, wood glue, super glue, it just helps hold that staple in place once it's in there. So if you have the staple, we're going to replace it with the same staple. If you don't have the staple, here's the style of staples that we use to do the replacement. So first thing we're going to do is, if the staple is out of the louver, it's actually a pretty simple process to put that staple back in. What we're going to do is take the original staple, we're going to get a little bit of glue on the end of it, and we're going to insert it in that louver through the staple in the tilt rod. Once we get it aligned, we're just going to push it into the louver. We're going to let the glue set for about 15 or 20 minutes. And once we do that, your shutter is good as new. The second thing we're going to look at in replacing staples is if a staple comes out of the tilt rod itself. As you can see here, there is a staple missing in our tilt rod, but the staple is still in the louver. The first thing we're going to do in this process is actually remove the staple from the louver. So with a pair of needle nose pliers, we're just going to grab that staple, we're going to rock it side to side and gently pull it out of the louver. Now that it's out of the louver, I'm going to show you how to insert the staple back into the tilt rod. If you have the staple from the tilt rod, we can reuse the same staple. If not, here's the kind of staples that we use to do this replacement. Once you have the staple in your needle nose pliers, I like to use a little bit of glue to make sure it's held in place. So I'm going to dip that staple in a little bit of glue. I'm going to come over here to the tilt rod and I'm going to insert that staple into the tilt rod. Once we get it into the tilt rod, we make sure it's inserted into the tilt rod about the same depth as the other staples. And we're going to let it sit for a couple minutes and let that glue dry. Once the staple in the tilt rod has dried for a few minutes, we can reinsert the staple that we pulled out of the louver back into it. Again, I'm going to touch it in a little bit of glue. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put the staple through the staple in the tilt rod, put it right into the louver, and I'm going to gently push it in until it seats in the louver. Once it's in, we let the glue dry, and now we've repaired the staple that is missing from the tilt rod. If you have multiple staples missing, you repeat the same process over and over again for each staple that is missing. So if you're trying to repair your shutter and you can't quite get it, don't get frustrated. We would rather you pick up the phone, call the shop at the number below, and we'll send someone out to help you get this repair finished. While we're doing it, we'll also show you how to make this repair for the future.